Hey guys, and welcome into another video. Today we're going to be going through my first ever NBA mock draft. Now, I've done mock drafts for the NFL plenty of times, and if you are an NFL channel subscriber, please be sure to leave a like on this video as well. It shows that you're supporting the channel. But if you guys are worried about where the NFL content is, don't worry. It is going to be coming out. Obviously, Madden's coming out soon. I'm going to post a video about that probably tomorrow if I can. But yeah, so we're going to be doing the NBA mock draft. Obviously, the lottery just happened, so we do know what the lottery picks are. So we're going to be going through the lottery and saying who I think each team should pick or will end up picking, etc., etc. That's kind of where we're at. If you guys are wanting NFL content, let me know in the comment section below. If you guys are enjoying the NBA content that's been happening the past few days, and let me know in the comment section below as well as what you guys want to see on the channel. Of course, I'll always try and make it do with doing it. But without further ado, we're pretty much going to get it started. So with the first overall pick, the Minnesota Timberwolves are selecting, and they are going to be selecting Anthony Edwards out of Georgia, 6'5", 225. He's a scorer, 19 points per game. He's able to do a lot more around it, but most of the time you're really just going to look for him to be a scoring option for you. He's got to work on the three-point percentage. He's only shooting 30%, but he was shooting 40 from the field and about 77 from free throws line. So good everywhere else. The three-point really needs to adjust to the NBA level. Needs to get a little bit better, but I do love Anthony Edwards' game. I think that he is going to be a very good option, especially into a team like Minnesota, where Minnesota's picking first, and they already have two stars on their team in D'Lo and Towns. So for Edwards to hop in there, to be able to play his scoring option, to have Culver at 3, being the 3-and-D guy that he is, I think this team is set up to do very well. Go after a power forward or another big man in the free agency market and see what you can do. But Anthony Edwards is a great fit for this Timberwolves team, and I'm excited to see what he can do for them. At pick 2, I have the Golden State Warriors selecting LaMelo Ball out of Illawarra, obviously the Ball family out of Chino Hills as well. But here's the thing with this situation. This might be kind of an oddball pick. A lot of people think that the Warriors are going to go James Wiseman because when you look at their roster, they need a center, right? It makes sense. But that's not the Warriors' brand of basketball. The Warriors' brand of basketball is a small ball lineup, most of the time running Draymond at the 5, having a guy like Kevon Looney to occasionally play that 5 when they want to move Draymond to the 4 or when they want Draymond to be on the bench. But other than that, I mean, they really don't run a pure big man, especially a guy like Wiseman, who really is not really a modern-day big man, more of an old-school big man where he's going to be a pure shot blocker, score in the paint, not really be able to stretch the floor too much. So as much as I love James Wiseman, I think that he's going to be a great NBA player. LaMelo just fits his team better. 6'7", 190. His field goal percentages are very low, obviously. I think he was doing a lot too much in Australia, but 17 points per game, almost 8 rebounds a game, and 7 assists per game. He's able to do everything on the court with that height, with that athletic ability. To roll out with the roster in the playoffs, having it be Steph, LaMelo, Clay, Wiggins, and Draymond, I think that they're going to score a lot of points. I think they're going to wreak havoc on a lot of teams, and small ball is kind of the way to go right now. A lot of teams are going with a small ball lineup. You see the Clippers last night going with the small ball lineup. Usually, there's a lot of different teams. Rockets, Warriors. You know, a lot of teams are not really having that pure big man, that 7-footer. A lot of guys, biggest guys, 6'9", 6'8" on the court. So with the Warriors kind of adapting to that brand of basketball the past few seasons, I think LaMelo Ball is going to fit them the best. At the number 3 pick, we have the Charlotte Hornets, who jumped up a total of 5 picks, I think it was, to get into the top 3, and they're going to end up winning out on James Wiseman out of Memphis. This is if Warriors and Timberwolves pass up on Wiseman, I think that there's no way the Hornets don't. They really could use a big man. Zeller's been holding down the position for such a long time, but he's not going to win you a championship. He's not going to be able to get you to that next level. But a 7'1", 237 James Wiseman, who's able to put up 20 points per game, 11 rebounds, and 3 blocks per game. Although it was only in 3 games, he had a very solid production at Memphis in those 3 games, and he's been training ever since he left since then as well. So I think he's going to have a very good time. He's going to have to adapt. He hasn't played basketball at a professional level basically since, early season. He really wasn't able to play too much because of what was happening, and he ended up just sitting out. So I think that he definitely can grow as a player, but he's a guy who I see potential of being like a Andre Drummond type player, Rudy Gobert type player at the NBA level. I think he's going to be great. There's such a young team in Charlotte with Washington there, Bridges, Devontae, and Terry Rozier. I mean, they have a very good young core who's going to be able to score a lot. And if Wiseman's everything I think he can be, this is a team that could fight for that 8 or 7 seed in the East, because obviously the East is not as competitive. He definitely could be a very good player to add to this roster. So I think the Hornets already should be happy for jumping up as much as they did, but for getting James Wiseman here. At pick 4, the Chicago Bulls are going to be taking Isaac Okoro, the small forward out of Auburn. Now, the reason I like Okoro here over a guy like maybe Denny Avdia is because I think that he just fits what the future of the Bulls is going to be. Kobe White is a pure scorer, man. He is able to score the ball at nobody's business. He had a couple great games this year scoring. Zach LaVine as well, big scorer. Defense is not really their best strong suit, those two, but they're not horrible, but you need a guy who's going to be able to lock down somebody. I think Isaac Okoro has that Mikal Bridges kind of sense to him, that he's going to be able to pull up for some shots, but overall you're going to really use him for his length and his defense. I mean, he was an all-defensive selection for the SEC this year. To add him to Lauri Markkanen, who, again, although he's great at, what he does, he's not going to be the pure defensive guy. He's more offensive-minded. To have Okoro and Wendell out there would be really good for them. I think that he would fit them very well. Possibly even be a starter day one, depending on how they want to do it. But I think Okoro just fits them perfectly. I think that defensive presence is going to be very good. And for him to go to Chicago to join up with that roster, I think that's a very talented roster to be going into next season if all healthy. Going to pick number 5, I have the Cavaliers selecting Obi Toppin, the power forward out of Dayton. Now, you might be a little surprised with this one because obviously the Cavs have a big need at the 3, I guess, was what you would say. But hear me out on this one. Obi Toppin, I think, is just too talented to fall out of the top 5. I really do. His production was absolutely insane this last season. He was the Naismith winner. I mean, this is a guy who did insane things. 20 points per game, 7.5 rebounds per game. 6'9", 220. He's built like an NBA player already. He looks like an NBA player already. Like, there's a lot of players that when you see them in college and you look at them, you're like, man, this guy already has a body for the NBA. He looks like an NBA player. And that's what I think Obi Toppin has. I mean, he was 39% from the 3, 64% almost from the field goal, 70% from the free throw line, which isn't even that bad for a big man. He has had an amazing year. And if he was 2-3 years younger, he'd be the number 1 overall pick consensus. But because he's at 23 almost, I think he'll be 23 when he gets to the NBA, people are going to be shied off of him. But the reason why the Cavs should not be is because you look at what you have as your big man. Andre Drummond's there for 1 year, basically. He's most likely not going to re-sign with you. He's going to accept his player option because he wants that money. If he does decline it, it'd be surprising. But you want Kevin Love off the roster. You'll probably try and find a suitor for him, as well as probably Tristan Thompson, who you're paying a lot of money for. He hasn't had a bad year this last year, so you could hold on to him. But with how Kevin Love has been shopped the past few years, I think it's time to get rid of him this offseason, and there's going to be a massive hole at power forward. Now, what are you going to fill with that massive hole? A guy who has all the talent in the world and is pro-ready day one to fill in that spot at the 4. Larry Nance is there, but I think they've kind of transitioned him more to a 5. I don't really see him as a starting big man either. I think Obi Toppin's going to be one of the best players to come out of this draft simply because he is the age he is. He's mature enough. He's built enough. I think that he's very good. So to roll out with Garland and Sexton because they know that they want that. Kevin Porter Jr. had an amazing rookie year, so I think you'll be able to run with him at the 3 if you want. Obi Toppin and then Drummond at the 5. It's a nice solid lineup for next year, and you can build more throughout the rest of the draft and free agency as well. Now at pick 6, I have the Atlanta Hawks selecting Onyeka Okongwu out of USC, the power forward center kind of hybrid. He's one of the more fun players to watch. Watching him block shots is absolutely insane. He averaged almost 3 blocks per game, about 9 rebounds a game, and about 16 points per game as well. But 6'9", 245, he's in that kind of weird spot where there's a lot of centers, modern-day centers. Wendell Carter is the first one that comes to mind who are coming out of the draft, and they're 6'9", 6'10". They're going to be starting centers. Montrezl Harrell is like 6'7". PJ Tucker plays center at 6'6". So it's like it's really a positionless basketball game. So you can run Okongwu at the center. You can run him at the 4. But the reason why I have the Hawks getting Okongwu is because you just drafted DeAndre Hunter. He's most likely going to be your 3 for a while. You just drafted Cam Reddish. He's probably going to be your 3/2. You still have Kevin Huerter. You obviously have Trae Young. There's not really a specific need. You could go point guard, just back up point guard, but I think Okongwu is going to help you out a lot because Capella and Collins have missed some time the past few years. I think that getting Okongwu can fill in for those guys whenever, but having this guy off the bench would just be a spark. Maybe he ends up being better than Capella and you shop Capella around, or maybe you're able to shift around. You're able to do a lot more with your rosters when you add a guy like Okongwu. I think he has the potential through the roof. I'm very excited to see what he can do at the next level. I'm a big fan of him. I think he's going to do great in the ATL. So Atlanta Hawks at pick 6 taking Onyeka Okongwu. At pick 7, Killian Hayes, the point guard out of France, or better yet known from, I think it's RATIOPHARM ULM. I don't really know how to say it, but he has been the weirdest guy to grade because you really don't know where you want to put him because he's one of those guys. I compare him to Franklin Ntilikina coming out because people knew he was going to be a top 10 guy, but where is he going to go? Some people have him top 5. Some people have him top 3. I mean, this is a guy who has moved around the board so much, but he has a lot of potential. The best thing for me that I like about him is that modern-day point guards, and I keep saying modern day a lot because the NBA is changing. I think everyone kind of realizes that. But when you have a point guard that's 6'5", that is a blessing to have because you have point guards coming into the league. Lonzo Ball at 6'6". Ben Simmons runs the point. He's 6'11" almost, There's a lot of bigger point guards. A lot of people aren't using those smaller 6'1", 6'2" guards anymore unless your name's the Cavaliers or the Trailblazers where you have both of your guards being under 6'3". But what he was able to do in France, in what he was doing, I mean, not anything that's going to jump off the page statistically. 45% from the field, 40% from the three almost, 90 from the free throw line. He's already playing professional basketball. Those are professional basketball numbers. Solid point production as well, as you can see. His assists could go up a little bit. 1.5 steals per game, though, was really nice to see from him. I think he has potential to be very good, and when you're looking at Detroit, this is a team who is arguably going to have the worst roster in the NBA next year. If they still have Derrick Rose, they won't. But I think Derrick Rose will be gone. They'll try and shop Blake, but I don't think you can get rid of Blake's contract right now. So you have Blake Griffin. You have Sekou Doumbouya, who you got last year, who had a very good rookie season as well. Other than that, man, Luke Kennard, you got to get a point guard to kind of be the next thing for him. And I think Killian Hayes is going to be able to do that. So it's at least a start for Detroit. Detroit's got a long way to go before they're winning basketball games again. But I think Killian Hayes would be a good start. Now, at pick 8, my hometown team, my favorite team. If you guys know the channel, you've probably seen the live stream reaction. You've probably seen the mock draft I've done. There was definitely a upsettingness from the Knicks falling to 8, as you guys may have known. We haven't moved up in a draft, not even won the number 1 overall pick, but moved up. Like if we're supposed to pick 6, move up to pick 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1. We haven't moved up since we picked Patrick Ewing. So it was sad to see another year go down where we fall. It sucks. But beyond that, Deni Avdija is going to be the pick here. Small forward out of Israel. He has all the potential in the world. He fell to 8, so I couldn't see him falling too much longer. The reason why I think a lot of Knicks fans might want Cole Anthony here, or Kira Lewis Jr. or Tyrese Halliburton. There's a lot of point guards that are going to be coming out of this draft. And the reason why I like Avdija here is because a lot of point guards are coming out of this draft. Go take one with that Clippers pick. Move up, send the Clippers pick and the second-round pick to move up a little bit farther and still pick the guy you were probably going to pick here, Cole Anthony or Kira Lewis or somebody, The reason I have Avdija here, though, is I think he is just going to be, if at the worst, as good as Danilo was when the Knicks took Danilo. I think that he has a good shooting stroke. I think he's good with that. Obviously, 50% from the field, about 33% from the field goal line. His free throw percentage is low. I don't know what the really issue is with that, and that's going to suck because the Knicks are not good at free throws. But everyone's got to work on the Knicks, so why not? But he has potential, man. That European players, Knicks love taking European players. He has a lot of potential. I mean, he put up 9 points per game, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and he was only playing about 14 minutes per game. So it's very good to see. He's been playing professional basketball for a couple years now. I think he has potential to be very good. But when I look at the Knicks, I'd rather go into next season with Elfrid Payton still being the starting point guard and having Deni Avdija with maybe Kevin Knox at the 3, then go into next season with Kevin Knox being our real only 3, or maybe Mo Harkless is back, but having Kira Lewis Jr. or Cole Anthony here. I think I'd rather have Deni Avdija at that spot because I really think the wing position is just not too good. And if you're sitting there, maybe you're not a Knicks fan, or maybe you are a Knicks fan, you're saying, what about RJ Barrett? RJ Barrett would be so much better at the 2. When I look at RJ Barrett, as much as I like him, he'd be way better off guarding two guards instead of the 3. When I see him playing the 3, I get scared. I don't want him to go up against LeBron. I don't want him to go up against KD. I don't want him going up against Kawhi. I just don't think that's his type of game. I don't think even as good as he is defensively and as lengthy as he is, I don't think that's his money spot. So to get him to stay at the 2 by selecting Deni Avdija here, I think would be very well. I think that the team would mesh well together. We need shooters. The Knicks really have struggled with shooting the ball. We're more of a slashing team at this point. Shooting the ball has not been the strong suit. So getting Deni Avdija to be here, a pure shooter for the New York Knicks, I think would be huge. So welcome into MSG, Deni Avdija. At pick 9, I have Devin Vassell coming out of Florida State at the small forward position. to the Washington Wizards now. Obviously, Otto Porter has been gone. Troy Brown Jr. has done very well for them at the 3. They really don't have a very much weak spot, I would say. Maybe they would go another big man here because Thomas Bryant's missed a lot of time, and that's kind of hurt them. But, other than that, they still have John Wall under contract. They still have Bradley Beal as of this moment. So I think that as long as those two are still there, you're building a team to win. And I think Devin Vassell is going to be able to do that for you. I mean, his numbers shooting is insane. 50% almost from the field, 41%, 42% from the free field goal, or from the three-point line. I don't know why I was mixing up there. And then 74% from the free throw. Not bad at all. He scored about 13 points per game, 5 rebounds, had about a steal and a half per game. I think he's just a very solid scorer, man. I don't think he's going to be a guy that you're drafting to be the superstar, this next face of your franchise. I think he's just going to be a guy where he's going to play like Otto Porter was supposed to play, where he's going to be the scoring option. He's going to be able to do a lot, but he's also going to play some solid defense. I really like what Devin Vassell can do for the Wizards. I think he can add to them. Like I said, maybe they trade down, try and get a big man or something, but I think that Vassell is a good pick here for them. I think he's just going to add a lot to their team. John Wall being back in action will be fun to watch with Bradley Beal. We know they're going to steal the show, so why not get a guy like Devin Vassell to add to that? Then we go on to pick 10, and the 8-0 bubble champions, the coach of the year, the coach of the bubble champions as well, Phoenix Suns. We all saw how good of a bubble they had, and that's really what a fully healthy Suns team is looking like. If you guys do not know, I do live in the Phoenix area, so Suns games are something I go to a lot. Let me know if next season, if you guys want me to vlog or something like that. I've never really thought about that, but Suns games are what I go to a lot. So seeing this team, seeing how good they are on the court, Mikal Bridges was finally able to show it on a national level how good he is. Devin Booker as well. DeAndre Ayton was doing a lot better. This is a very solid team that needs very little. They did all that without Kelly Oubre. Oubre's the starting 3. They still have Bridges. They still have Cam Johnson off the bench. Booker's obviously there. Rubio's there. So this is a weird spot to where you could go with a guy like Halliburton or Kira Lewis Jr. or Tyrese Maxey or whoever, Cole Anthony here, But who I really think they need to go with is who you're seeing on the screen is Precious Achiuwa out of Memphis. I'm probably butchering that name, but it's all good. I tried to say it faster so you couldn't really tell what I was saying. Because they need a 4, man. They really do. And a guy like him to where he's going to be a good scorer, play the defensive side very well. Aiton's not very good at the defensive side. He's not bad at it. Every center's going to be able to be athletic and block shots, but he really has not gained any more IQ points in the defensive department since he got in the NBA. He really hasn't done too much on that side. But when you get a guy like Precious here who's coming into the league almost 11 rebounds per game and almost 2 blocks per game, this is a guy you want as your 4. Dario Saric did decent at the 4, wasn't the answer for the Suns. I think he'd be better on the bench, but getting Achiuwa there would be awesome. You're looking at a lineup where you're going to be able to run Rubio, Booker, Oubre, Achiuwa, and obviously Ayton. You can even have Precious off the bench. You could run Kelly and McCall at the 3, Kelly at the 4 if you want. There's a lot of things you can do. I think getting a pure 4 who's going to be able to play the modern day 4, I think is a lot better for the Suns than a backup point guard. So that's why I have Precious going here. At pick 11, Aaron Nesmith out of Vanderbilt is going to be going to the hopefully still coached by Popovich Spurs. The first year that they did not make the playoffs this year, which was weird to see. There's rumors that Popovich is going to be targeted by the Nets this offseason. His contract is up. Maybe he'll retire. We're not really sure what's going to happen. But Nesmith is a pure scorer. Pure scorer. Let me say it again. Pure scorer. 23 points per game. He shot 50% from the field. He had better three-point percentage than he did a two-point percentage. Or just field goal percentage, as well as 82.5% from the free throw line. Those are NBA caliber numbers to be shooting. 6'6", 216, a little bit undersized for a 3, but like I said, pure scorer. You could run him at the 2 or the 3. If DeRozan's still there, you could probably run him at the 2. I just really like his game. I think he's going to be a very good scorer at the next level. I think he has all the talent in the world to continue scoring at the next level. It's really just a discrepancy is, hey, can he be the next Donovan Mitchell? Can he be the next Buddy Hield? There's a lot of different scenarios that he can go through, but I really like what Nesmith's going to bring to the Spurs, bring some scoring back to this team that's, other than that, pretty hard to watch because of how slow of a basketball game they play. I think Nesmith can add a lot to this team. Then we go on to pick 12, where Patrick Williams out of Florida State is going to be going to the Sacramento Kings to play the small forward/4. That's kind of really why I had him here. I think he can play the 3 or the 4, and he's kind of that mix. I think he'd be best off here. You guys have De'Aaron Fox. They have Buddy Hield. Marvin Bagley hopefully will play basketball. I mean, he rarely does. But other than that, you guys, the Kings are in a weird spot, man, where they just have not had success. They looked very good the season before, and they signed Luke Walton. Didn't really work out. I don't think they should keep him, but if they do, it's whatever. But Patrick Williams out of Florida State, I mean, he did a good amount for the amount of time he was on the court. About 10 points per game, 4 rebounds, a block per game as well. But he shot 46% from the field, 32% from the three-point line, had an 84% free throw percentage. So he's able to do very well. He's able to stretch the 3 and the 4. I think you'll be able to put him at either one that you want. You obviously still have Harrison Barnes, too. But that's a big contract that you guys are paying. Bielitsa is really not the answer. I think Marvin Bagley is probably going to be the 5. Harry Giles, we'll see what happens with him. He had a pretty solid season this year. But with Bagley, Rashawn Holmes also had a great year. But I think with Patrick Williams here, like I said, that versatility of playing the 3 and the 4 with the just weirdness of that front court. I think it's front court. To where, like, Bagley is very, he's very injury prone. He rarely plays basketball. Giles had a bunch of injuries in his career already. Bielitsa, how long is he going to be there for? You really don't know. These are questions that you got to ask, though. So I think Patrick Williams just kind of fits all the boxes. I think that he might be the best spot for the Kings at just that versatility, like I said. So Patrick Williams going to the Kings at pick 12. At pick 13, the New Orleans Pelicans are taking the 6'5", but yet only 175-pound point guard out of Iowa State, Tyrese Halliburton. This guy has had a great year with Iowa State. Just scored a lot, was able to pass the ball. I mean, 6 rebounds a game for a point guard is awesome. 50% from the field, 42% from the 3, 82% from the free throw line. I mean, this guy had a very good season. The reason why he falls this far down is, one, there's so many guards in this draft and not enough other players, forwards and such. So I don't think that there's really room for him to kind of move up as much. Maybe he goes to the Suns, maybe he goes to a different team. But the Pelicans are really the only team that I can see that really need a point guard. Lonzo's restricted free agent this year, I believe. So for him to – actually, he might have a team option. But for the Pelicans to, re-sign Brandon Ingram, it's going to be like, hey, we might not be able to get Lonzo back. So for Tyrese Halliburton to be there, he could jump in there and be that backup guard because, Frank Jackson's really not going to be a back point guard. So for Halliburton to be there, I think he'll be able to get good, solid play time his rookie year. He's got Zion with him. He's got Brandon Ingram with him. He's got a good, solid young roster around him. I think this is a perfect spot for Halliburton to fall. I think that the Pelicans would love to get Halliburton here at 13. Then at pick 14, the last pick of the lottery, I have the Boston Celtics selecting Pukasevsky. I'm not even going to try and say it. I think it's Alexei Pukasevsky, but out of Olympiacos, be the power forward, kind of slash center, but really power forward. He is one of the most intriguing prospects I've ever seen because he just looks so awkward when he plays, but he is so good. And we know that there's European players that are just a lot better than they seem just because they've been playing professionally for a while. But he's 7 foot, but only 201 pounds, so it's definitely a weird build. He scored about 10 points per game. He gets about 7.5 rebounds per game and almost 2 blocks per game for Olympiacos, shooting 40% from the field, 32% from the 3, 78% from the free throw line. So he's a good shooter, good scorer. And I think when you have a team like the Celtics who really don't have a weak spot, you might as well just add to positions that you really could use more of. I mean, right now they've been using Tatum at the 4 mostly because they have Hayward at the 3, Brown at the 2, and Walker at the 1, and then Smart coming off the bench. But, Pukasevsky can be in there, be that kind of big man to just come in, shoot a couple shots, be taller than everyone. I mean, this is a good fit for them. I think that, this is kind of where I see him between here and pick 20. I see him going because I think there's a team that's going to take the chance on him just due to the potential of what he could be. But I do think that he can be a very good fit to Boston to where he doesn't really have to have this huge role. He can just go out there and score a couple buckets fresh off the bench using his height and what he's able to do there. So anyway, that is it for the mock draft. Let me know what you think about your team's pick. If you are picking in the lottery, let me know what your team is as well in the comment section below. Let me know what you want your team to pick, and of course, let me know how you think I did. I'm going to do more of these coming in the next few weeks. Obviously, we have a long way to go till draft day. We still have a long way to go through the playoffs, but if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to leave a like as it does help me out a bunch. Turn those notifications on so you don't miss any videos. If you did enjoy the video, just refresh the page, check it out again. Let me know what you think the second time. Be sure to subscribe. And without further ado, that's going to be for me. I'll see you guys in the next one.